Yes, and this is the Concorde. Actually, we're going into that Concorde later on. As a separate experience at £7. That's going to be amazing. Oh, and we're going on the Concorde Experience now. So yeah, right here. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that Concorde.
It's longer than I thought. Long and thin.
I've not really seen the Concorde in real life, I don't think.
Either. Look, it looks like a sharp.
I might have done.
Very aerodynamic.
Not quite close up. Yeah, we are still on the bus. Welcome along to theme park Gold. Okay, so right now we've got some pictures, some photos, and some information about the Concorde for you. It was easier to take photos rather than recording this bit because not much time. If you want to read anything, make sure you pause the video to take a look. And this is interesting. This is all the airlines that applied to get a Concorde, to run Concorde. But as we know, there's only two airlines that had Concorde: Air France and British Airways. But yeah, even United applied. They did not get it. And yeah, here is some uniforms. So that is interesting. Right, we're about to watch a video of the Concorde coming back to Brooklands.
Third built in the UK. Golf Bravo Bravo Delta Golf, or Delta Golf as she's affectionately known, opened the door for Concorde to enter passenger service. Like every other Concorde, over 30% of Delta Golf's airframe was built here at Brooklands before being shipped to Filton for final assembly. In the hands of test pilots Brian Trubshaw and Peter Baker, Delta Golf first took to the sky on February 13, 1974, at the start of a test program that would lead to Concorde's airworthiness certification. The first flight, which lasted 1 hour and 45 minutes, saw the aircraft fly from Filton to the Concorde test base at Fairford to join Concorde 002 and Concorde 01 in the British flight test program. Delta Golf flew to many locations all over the globe, such as Singapore, Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates, during a flight test program that lasted more than 7 years. She was the first Concorde to carry 100 passengers at twice the speed of sound. Delta Golf was used by British Airways crews for training in the summer of 1975. Over 50 training flights were conducted out of Fairford before passenger services commenced the following year. The aircraft's final flight came on Christmas Eve 1981, after which she was put into long-term storage at Filton. British Airways acquired ownership of Delta Golf in 1984 and in 2003 offered her to Brooklands Museum for restoration and display. Inside and out, the aircraft had been stripped of just about every conceivable part, but with BA's enormous Concorde spares holding, it was hoped that most parts could be found and eventually refitted. The aircraft was repositioned to allow it to be divided into 5 major sections, after smaller items such as the intakes and wingtips had been removed and transported to Brooklands. The Brooklands built forward and aft fuselage sections were the first major pieces to arrive at the museum in May 2004. A few weeks later, the 2 main wing sections were separated from the fuselage and transported the 125 miles to the museum. The final piece to be moved was the central fuselage section of Concorde, on which the restoration would be based. It was transported along the M4 and arrived safely at Brooklands after journeying down the leafy Surrey roads towards the museum. Hundreds of museum supporters, as well as His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Kent, were present to greet Concorde and see her being unloaded. Although it would be many months before structural rebuilding got underway, the volunteer team set to work restoring key parts of the aircraft, such as the droop nose and intakes, as well as beginning to remove 20 years of grime from the fuselage and wings ahead of repainting. The museum's contractors for the rebuilding started work in early 2005. The first task was to reposition the 5 main sections so that they could be reattached. When the aircraft was sectioned, new production joints were essentially formed. Aluminium channel sections were used to rejoin both the wings and fuselage. Alongside the structural work, the main volunteer effort got underway to repaint the aircraft. The surface was prepared before being painted with the trademark Concorde gloss white finish. After the forward fuselage had been rejoined, volunteers refitted Concorde's famous droop nose. With the structural rebuild nearly complete, Concorde was airbagged to full height to allow the landing gears to be fitted, the first time in nearly 20 years that the aircraft had rested on its own undercarriage. A volunteer team refitted the outer wingtips in late 2005, painstakingly installing over 600 bolts to hold them in place. With work underway to restore the interiors and cockpit, the volunteer effort in 2006 began with refitting the restored air intakes and rebuilding the engine bays. Special teams were formed to repaint and then fit the giant Brooklands-built tail fin, which was fitted in the summer of 2006, topping out the main rebuilding programme. Due largely to the efforts of an army of dedicated volunteers, sponsors and contributors to the museum's Appeal Fund, the Concorde with an uncertain future at the start of the millennium had been saved for future generations.
Yes, in a minute we are going to sit in the real Concorde seats for just a little bit more museum and different look throughout the years right here. Yeah, different look, different area, different times and different seat covers or whatever, you know. So here's a photo of me sitting in a Concorde seat. Yeah, lots of leg room on the Concorde. This Concorde though never actually entered service, but it was vital to making sure that Concorde got the certificate to be able to fly.
At the poster at the back was saying about the 20 Concordes and where they are around the world. Advised the only one that's not available is the one in Barbados, and that used to be apparently one of the ones you could go on and visit, and advise that's no longer the situation. It's around called freestyling. Mind your heads on the lockers. So I would say I'll go and see what's going on, because they've all done a runner and left us, so I'm not really sure.
Oh, never mind.
So
It was take-off, I must say.
oh, there we go. I've got my Concorde stewardess here.
Take-off would take not like a normal aircraft where you sit there looking out the window. No point, because you can't see anything except the curvature of the earth once you're up there. And if you fly a normal aircraft, they look as if they're going backwards. You just
That's got interesting, isn't it?
yeah, just it's odd.
Yeah.
It's very odd. I was going to say, yes, take-off. You would definitely need your seatbelts on.
I said we're going seatbelt free today, and
Oh, sorry.
some lushes before us had all the champagne,
Yes.
so that pressure's off us. I've been tricky opening those bottles of champagne.
When it comes on, he'll say when they put it into a overdrive, really, it pushes you in the back, and that's always when I was trying to delicately, not nice champagne glass, long stem things, they're frothy. So
That's how it used to be, though.
got 100 passengers all gasping but they'd had plenty before they got on board. So they took everything off them and hung their clothes in the wardrobe, etc. And they put everything in the Concorde lounge. So it was really quite super before they ever got on board.
Didn't they have a place at the back of that? So you know now you try and shove your coat somewhere.
Yes.
They used to have a wardrobe at the back.
Two wardrobes.
2 wardrobes.
3 at one time, yes. And then your coats are taken off you before you went on board and all hung up on board. And quite a lot of hand luggage.
Just like travelling today, isn't it? And the other thing is, it's quite interesting the amount of leg room that's on the plane, much more than you get currently today when you're flying. And there's lots of things I think that are quite different at flying today, isn't it? But actually, so in the UK it was considered Concorde class, and I don't believe in France it was called that.
No, I think it was called Business Plus or something. But,
Yeah, which is quite different. And there's so doing this in the museum and showing people is interesting. Surprising the number of people. The number of people who've already flown on Concorde.
Yes.
And there was so people say, oh, Joan Collins always used to like to sit in row 4. And she liked to cover herself up so she could sort her makeup out.
Yes. So when she got there, she was.
And then the other thing, I've been told that the Queen, I was told seat 1A, but you were told something differently, weren't
I
you?
was told 2A, but it's just.
Yeah.
We can't ask her now, can we? Actually.
And the other thing is, so at that time, before the 9/11 event, people used to go in the cockpit, so it was quite.
Yes, everybody could go and look at the cockpit. So if you see the forward galley in a minute, which is minute, and you're trying to do all these fantastic meals, courses and wine and milk, and it's got quite pressurised really.
Yeah.
And the flight deck got Concorde meals. The two guys, they had to have different ones. Yes, and they had to have it in a tray, like a Concorde tray, with napkins and everything. So it was, they were treated as very much elite as well. Most of them when they were second officers on BC Terms.
So we are having some stories explained to us, but there is a technical issue. We're meant to be having a take-off virtual Concorde flight thing, but at the moment it's a technical issue and it's not happening.
Completely on themselves. So takeoff was really something that really shoved you back in your seat. I always think it's a bit like a racehorse. They let it out of the tracks, and then it. Right, and then you're up.
And isn't there the other thing? I don't know how many people here would have heard Concorde, because it used to fly. I don't know where people live, which areas. So.
You flew over Wales, dear.
I don't know. I was in London then.
Oh yeah.
I'm from Wales. That's what she said. And actually, I would always say that I could sort of feel it on my chest. It was a very different sound, very, very different sound. And if you heard it, you'd be going, "Oh, there's Concorde. Here comes Concorde." And the other thing about Concorde, it was always on time. They were very, very. That was a very precise thing about them, unlike today, isn't it? And as you probably said about the fuel, and the fuel was. They had it for the flight because it was all very heavy. And
it is.
Somebody.
I'm just hanging on to it.
Yeah, he's coming to sort it out.
Okay, we got the.
It is a very old day. Sorry. You're getting extra information,
Not yourself, I think is what you're trying to say there.
and fantastic menus, hand-on menus to make choose from the menu to make it have 3 choices of papers. So,
Wasn't there a choice of papers?
yes.
Newspapers that you could find? Yes, exactly. Obviously, there was a restriction of weight.
I did have
then they upped the price, so that made
Because
it
they
more.
thought they'd been paying more for the flight than they did.
Yeah.
So they put the price up to what everybody thought they were paying.
Yeah.
Which I think
So-
is quite...
Quite canny. So what happened with Air France side of it stayed with the French government, and I don't know if the French side of events were as profitable as British Airways was. So that was one of the reasons, even though there'd been the accident, that it was back flying again. And the first time they were flying after the accident in France, and the amendments they made was when the Twin Towers were hit. That was the day they were actually flying, and I think we were aboard in the plane and they were ready to go. And someone came and said, "Oh, you're not going, JFK's closed." And they said, "Oh, no. And they said, "Yes, it is," and it was closed. And what happened, apparently in the Twin Towers, there, a lot of them, British Airways clients,
the regular
worked in the Twin Towers, and a lot of those people that sadly did die during that.
So we did not get the final bit of the experience, more on that in a moment. And yeah, here is a look at the cockpit. Very interesting stuff, lots and lots of buttons, my goodness me. Could you imagine flying that, hey? Yeah, wow. Right, so we have finished the Concorde Experience now. We paid £7 for the Concorde Experience. It's a separate ticket price to the Brooklands Museum. And it wasn't really the best experience because they were having some technical problems.
Do you want me to add my opinion?
There you add your opinion. There you go.
Too much nattering from the two lovely ladies, talking over the top of each other. I couldn't hear what they were saying.
That's because
Very
there was a technical problem.
Very nice women, but yappa. I just want information, please.
Apparently they've broken a memory card. I mean, I don't know how you can't have a backup memory card or something. I don't know. So we didn't get to see that, but we saw inside the Concorde Experience. They're supposed to be doing something for us, but they couldn't do it there. Another technical problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to get a refund of that because that was £7 separately. Yeah, which was annoying. The annoying thing is it's delayed us slightly getting to Thorpe Park because we are on our way to Thorpe Park now, cut into our time there. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to go on the Concorde Experience. Should that really be extra? Because it's £26 plus £2.25, so nearly £30 to get into the Concorde Experience. Sorry, nearly £30 to get into the museum, the main museum, and then £7 to do the Concorde Experience. I'm not sure if the thing is really worth £7.
No, I don't think so.
Even if we had that thing working, I'm not sure if it is. It was nice to go in one and stuff, but although it wasn't really one that, as I said, didn't actually go into passenger service, so really should it be £7 for that? So that's our opinion. But yeah, you saw the Concorde Experience there. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and smash a like on the video. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye. So yeah, we were promised a refund of this Concorde Experience, and I emailed in and I waited 4 days for a reply. I had to re-record this bit, but I did get a reply, and yes, they are refunding this Concorde Experience. So that was good. Yeah, it was disappointing to have this problem and stuff, but you know, at least they are refunding it, so yeah, that's good. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, smash a like. Goodbye.